on, Falcon fans? It's your boy Okudah coming back at you with another video. So today, guys, I'm going to take a deeper look and deeper dive into the curious case of our second cornerback, Jeff Okudah, and possibly did the Falcons actually make a great underrated signing, bringing him in with their trade that they made with the Detroit Lions this offseason. So, guys, before we get into that, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that notification bell so you know when I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys out here that I talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe for all you people can come here and hear me talk about the Atlanta Falcons. So, guys, like I said, Jeff Okudah, right? Let's go back to 2020. We talk about the draft for Jeff Okudah, and they had three linebackers. They had Henderson, Okudah, and of course they had AJ Terrell, right? Everybody's thinking that maybe the Atlanta Falcons missed out on some great cornerbacks, and they got AJ Terrell. Some of the fan base was really kind of upset because, you know, you go back to the national championship game and how he was, toast a couple times by Jamar Chase, and everybody thought AJ Terrell was not going to be a good corner for the Atlanta Falcons. However, we have seen, going into his fourth season, they put his fifth-year option next year. More likely to get the contract done before he plays on his fifth-year option at the end of this season. Maybe this season, probably not, but probably at the beginning of next season before they get into that fifth-year option. He won't play on that option tag. So we expect great things out of AJ Terrell. But like I said, if you go back into that 2020 draft, right, Jeff Okudah actually picked number 3 overall by the Detroit Lions. And, of course, there was quarterbacks on the board during that time. Tua Tagovailoa and Justin Herbert was also on the clock at the time when they actually pulled the trigger and brought in Jeff Okudah. But guys, at the time, it was really not a miss. He was like one of the guys in the NFL draft that everybody said it's not a miss, right? Some of the things that they said about Jeff Okudah, he was a perfect prospect coming out of, Ohio State. He had the short area quickness that you need to play in man coverage or zone coverage. He had the awareness. He had feet like Darrelle Revis. He could lock down one side of the field. He actually had a grade of 96 coming out. The last cornerback that had a grade that high was Jalen Ramsey coming out. So, he was the perfect prospect coming out of college, for any draft. So when they picked him 3rd overall, nobody was really upset about the pick, even those two quarterbacks on the board. Because remember, at the time, the Detroit Lions did have Matthew Stafford still there. So technically, they did not need a quarterback. They already had their franchise quarterback. So when they picked Jeff Okudah at number 3 overall, everybody said it was probably, a can't-miss prospect. And this guy is going to be, like I said, the next sure thing, right? The comps they had on him at the time was Stephon Gilmore, Xavier Howard, 2 excellent pro cornerbacks that we have in the league today. So at the time, like I said, when they picked Jeff Okudah at number 3 overall, it was a not miss. So, hindsight 2020, going over and looking what transpired, from then to now, of course, you could say they made a mistake. But what happened? I mean, that's the question, right? What actually happened to Jeff Okudah? So his first season, he actually got injured in training camp with a hamstring. Then he had a groin injury. Only played in 9 games, only started 6 games. So first off, his first season did not go as he would like. It didn't go as planned, right? Had an up and down season, struggled in coverage a little bit that first season, like most rookies would do. Didn't hit the ground running like their perfect prospect that they needed. But injuries definitely played a big role into some of his issues to that first season in 2020. Guys, if you remember that season, that was the COVID year, so a lot of people didn't get the normal training camp and things like that. They had all these restrictions, so a lot of guys probably was going to come slow out the box in 2020, and Jeff Okudah definitely one of those guys, right? Go to the next season, 2021. The season opener, he actually tear his Achilles, right? So we don't even get to see Jeff Okudah on the field past that for to get the season opener against the Lions. So he missed the entire season of 2021. So that's 2 years down the road. 2 seasons down the road. Now the worry, the team's starting to get worried. Of course, by now they done brought in a new regime who did not draft him, right? Because remember in 2021 they changed coaching staff and they changed general managers. So that regime that drafted Jeff Okudah was not there anymore, right? In the first season, they see Jeff Okudah tear his Achilles, so he's not even playing with this team anymore. So that's where we go to 2022, and he actually had a pretty good season in 2022. He ends up with 73 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, interception, pick 6, and 7 pass defenses. He played in 15 games, started off 15 of those games he played in. So you actually start to see a glimpse of what Jeff Okudah could possibly be. Did he show that he lived up to the number 3 overall pick? Not really, right? Because they expected that to be right out the gate in 2020, but in 2022 they decided that they want to move on with on from Jeff Okudah. Like I said, a new regime, guys that did not draft him, so they really don't have any investment in that number 3 overall pick. And they decided to go get some veteran guys, bring in, and they revamped their whole secondary. And Atlanta Falcons decide to actually take I wouldn't say a gamble. They start to another man trash could be another guy's treasure, right? Number 3 overall pick, a guy that everybody says we can't miss, and he had injuries. So maybe, just maybe, a change of scenery and get him in the right circumstances, we can actually see a glimpse of that perfect draft prospect coming out, and we'll see what happens, right? So, like I said, could this be an underrated signing? Could it be a great, trade for the Atlanta Falcons? Now, why this might work for the Atlanta Falcons this season in 2023, and it's a couple things. First of all, he's healthy. Like I said, we just talked about his injury history that he has had. So if he can stay healthy, I think that's really going to help him out this year. Especially, this is going to be an important year for him. So the first thing is he's going to be healthy this year. I think Jeff Okudah definitely can be that guy if he stay healthy. The second thing is the system he's going to play in. I think this system fit the things that he does well. Going to play. I think the Atlanta Falcons going to play a little bit more man coverage. He'll be able to do that. That's where something that he really excelled in college. So we'll be able to see if he could get back to those traits. We talked, we heard from his defensive back coordinator Gary Gray, and then we also heard from Steven Jackson as well, his defensive back coach. So those guys going to get great coaches that's out there is going to get Jeff Okudah where he needs to be. But the system he's going to be in is definitely going to help him out. And then you got to factor in the defensive pressure from the defensive line, that front 7, and he has another quarterback at the safety position in Jesse Bates and get him to help recognize defenses and what they're trying to do, and he can trust that from a safety standpoint, you have somebody out there that's going to be in positions that they need to be in, so he can just play his ball and do the things he can do. A lot of times playing football, it's more about just go ahead and react. You don't have to think that much. The less you have to think, the more can you act, and you can let your abilities just take over, right? So hopefully this system is definitely going to help Jeff Okudah a whole lot. The way we play, a lot of more man-to-man, I think he can play some zone as well, but I think that the Atlanta Falcons really going to do a lot more man coverage this year. The third thing is, hey, it's a contract year. He don't have a contract, after this year. So even if he stayed with Atlanta Falcons or not, he got to go out and play and try to get that second contract. Especially a guy that was the number three overall pick in the NFL draft. You'll be labeled as a bust if you can't go out and show that you could do the things that everybody expected you to do, being that number three overall pick. And then the last thing, which is probably is going to benefit him more than anything, is that he's not the number one corner on this team. So I think that's going to benefit him a lot. I think AJ Terrell still will be tagged for the most part, trying to cover the number one guy, which I don't think that's a problem for AJ Terrell. He has did that the last 2 seasons for the Atlanta Falcons, kind of shadow guys. But I think this will definitely help Jeff Okudah a lot. You don't have to be the one to say he's the man on the team. He could just go out and play, like I said, and do the things he got to do. But AJ Terrell should be the number one guy, in the cornerback room for these Atlanta Falcons. So that should take a little pressure off Jeff Okudah. It still won't stop the pressure being a contract year and, potentially being labeled the bust thing, being number 3 overall pick. However, I think that this is really going to help Jeff Okudah, reach his peak. Like I said, the coaching staff is definitely going to help him out a lot. Jerry Gray got a lot of experience coaching defensive backs. Go look at all his experience. Some of the guys who just left Green Bay coaching Alexander, who's a outstanding corner in this league. A lot of defenses, and I chronicalized this when I talked about the coaching staff. A lot of top 10 and passing defenses. So Jerry Gray is going to definitely be helped. And then Steven Jackson, somebody I think that he's kind of familiar with. I know Jesse Bates familiar with him, so that's going to definitely help out a lot. Great coaching staff. I believe, a change of scenery for a guy like Jeff Okudah is definitely going to be really, really big for him. And I believe that this is the time where he can actually, show some of that potential that he had coming out in 2020. So, guys, let me know what you think about Jeff Okudah. Can he get back to, any, semblance of what he looked like in Ohio State? Can he get back to that, that perfect prospect that everybody came said, can't miss? It's a lot of those guys that come out and can't miss, and some of those guys don't pan out the way people felt they was going to pan out. For the Atlanta Falcons, hopefully that's not the case for Jeff Okudah. Hopefully he can get back to form, do the things he can do, stay healthy for an entire season, and I believe he can live up to that potential. Then we can say that the Atlanta Falcons kind of got them to steal, just only giving up a 5th round pick for Jeff Okudah. So, guys, that's all I have today. Give me your thoughts on the potential for Jeff Okudah for this Atlanta Falcons defense. And this is your boy, Ricondo, coming back at you with another video. Peace.